He said I wasn't the woman he proposed to, and I treated it like an insult instead of a diagnosis. When Liam and I got engaged, I was the Sundays in the park girl. I posted book stacks, dogs, and the occasional brunch photo with a latte heart. I said yes to a ring in a quiet garden behind our favorite coffee shop because I liked the privacy of a promise. I wore jeans and his college hoodie to the grocery store and thought the produce aisle was romance if we were laughing. Then I got promoted, discovered Pilates at 6 a.m., and watched a dozen women in my orbit build whole lives out of angles and captions. I cut my hair sharp, bought a satin camisole in every color, and posted a thirst trap Y rooftop shot that did numbers I didn't think were for me. Comments like, "Girl, you glowed up," slid under my skin like champagne bubbles. I told myself I was finally owning my confidence. I told Liam I was just rebranding. He smiled at first. He took the photos. He said things like, "You look happy," which is what a kind man says when he doesn't recognize the version of you that the internet is reflecting back. The first time he said he was uncomfortable was after a reel I filmed at the gym in a set I would previously have called underwear. "Your employer follows you," he said gently. "Our nieces follow you. Can we talk about boundaries?" I heard boundaries and translated it to control. I'd been listening to podcasts with women who cut men off for less and called it self-care. I told him he was insecure. I told him it's 2026, get with the program. He said, "I want to marry you. Just you. Not a brand that says yes to strangers all day." I told him that sounded like a you problem. It kept building. He asked for two simple things: don't post lingerie as daywear and don't film in our bedroom. "Can we keep that space for us?" he asked, not demanding, not sulking. Just asking. I laughed and said, "You're scared of squares on an app?" He said, "No. I'm scared I'll marry someone who thinks strangers' attention is oxygen." We fought in circles. I called him prudish. He said the word partner the way people say parachute. When he suggested we try a few sessions with a counselor, I snapped, "You want someone to co-sign your controlling behavior." He got quiet in the way men get quiet when they realize they've been demoted from fiancé to obstacle. Then, because I double down when I feel cornered, I booked a girls' trip to Miami with Maya and Jules, captioned a mirror selfie soft launch of a harder me, and posted a photo on the hotel bed in a silk set that was basically a suggestion. Liam texted, "Please take that down. My aunt and my boss both follow you." I replied, "Grow up." He didn't answer. Miami was neon and compliments and strangers offering us tables. I was photographed next to a DJ I didn't know and woke to 3 brand DMs and a message from Liam that said, "When you get back, we need to talk." I landed to the quiet you can hear in the hallway before a storm. He'd written it out. Of course he had. He's the guy who brings the meeting agenda and the extra pen. "I love you. I'm not comfortable with the account turning our bedroom and your body into content. I'm not asking you to dress like someone else. I'm asking you to agree on what private means in a marriage. If you think that's controlling, we're not aligned. Maybe we hit pause, do therapy, and see if we can find the overlap again. If not, I'll move to my brother's for a bit. Email only. Let's not perform this for friends or the internet." It wasn't a threat. It was a map. I tore it up. "You're trying to manage me," I said, voice high with the kind of indignation that looks righteous online. "You're mad that people think I'm beautiful." "I have never been mad that you're beautiful," he said. "I'm mad that you're using beautiful as a reason to invite everyone into our house." I packed a bag like a teenager running away, grabbed the ring box out of habit, then put it back because I wanted the weight of it on my finger. A talisman that said I could always come home. I texted Maya that I was moving in for a few days, just until he realizes he can't police me. Maya is a friend who tells you the first draft you love is the one you should print out just to edit. "You can crash here," she said, pushing aside a stack of laundry. "But if you post a single-era thirst trap from my couch, I'm changing the Wi-Fi password." I lasted 2 days before I posted an all-black story slide. "Never let a man dim your light." It was petty and aimed and earned me 100 heart reactions in an hour. I followed it with a gym mirror boomerang in a sports bra and sweat. The dopamine was immediate and dirty. It also bought me an email from Liam within 30 minutes. I'm moving out for now. I'll send a list to divide things. Please return the key I don't have a copy of. I'll keep paying my half of rent through month's end. We can settle after. Don't put me on your story. I'm not a debate club. Ring. In our state, an engagement ring is a conditional gift. If you're ending the engagement, I'd like it back. If you just need space, I'll wait. Quietly. For 2 weeks. If you're still posting through it then, I'll assume we're done. He even put a smiley at the end like a bandage for a paper cut that was actually an artery. I stared at the clause about the ring, Googled conditional gift ring law, and realized he was right. At least in a lot of places. I slammed the laptop shut like that might change jurisprudence. Maya watched me spin and said, "Do you want to win the internet or your fiancé? Because those aren't the same tournament." I took a breath and did what I'm good at. I doubled down again. I posted a carousel from Miami with a caption that implied I was escaping controlling vibes and finding myself. I didn't name him, but anyone with eyes could connect. He did not respond online or via our friends. He replied with exactly one email. I wish you well. I'll send a mover's time. Please box what you know is mine. I'll Venmo for anything I miss. Therapy invite stands if you want it. If you're done, please say so plainly. I didn't have the nerve to say it plainly. I kept hoping he'd cave, so I could feel like I'd won something. Instead, he showed up with 2 friends and a U-Haul during the window he'd emailed, packed his tools, the extra set of sheets, and the mug I always stole that says, "This might be wine." He left the olive oil because you like the fancy one. He put his spare key in a Ziploc on the counter with a sticky note, USPS forwarding set. Maya stood in the doorway like a bouncer to make sure I didn't turn it into a reality show. He did not slam a door. He did not cry. He just left the apartment calm in a way that felt like a verdict. I sat on the couch and scrolled, looking for comfort in strangers. A DM landed from my boss. "Hey. HR asked me to remind you our social policy applies to personal accounts followed by clients. Just be mindful. The policy is standard. Don't post from work. Don't post explicit content if you link the company. Don't defame coworkers." None of it said don't be a thirsty mess, but it didn't have to. I felt 12. 2 days later, my mother called because Liam had called her before word got to her from anyone else. He told her he loved me, that we were taking space, and that he didn't want her to worry. He didn't mention the ring or the posts. He protected me from my own narrative with my own family. I wanted to be mad and couldn't find a place to put it. I booked a counselor because it felt like a way to say I was still the kind of person who does homework. The intake form asked, "What brings you here?" I wrote, "My fiancé says I changed," then stared at it until it looked like not English. The counselor, Dr. Patel, asked me during our first session to define controlling. I said, "When someone tells you what to do." She said, "Parenting is telling. Partnership is negotiating." She asked what boundaries I had for myself online. I started to say none as a joke and heard how unfunny that sounded. The worst part? I started to notice how I had turned everything into a stage. At Trader Joe's, I took a picture of peonies and thought, story? When I cried, I wondered front or back camera. When I got good news at work, my first thought was, how do I caption this? Not, who do I call? Liam had wanted to marry a person. I'd been auditioning a persona. At the end of the 2 weeks, I hadn't posted anything worse, but I hadn't taken down the Miami carousel either. Liam emailed, "Ring?" I stared at my hand and at the small indent it had made, and then I took it off and put it in the little blue box that felt suddenly heavy in a way jewelry shouldn't be. We met in the park behind the coffee shop where he'd proposed. He looked thinner, like a man whose appetite had changed and would not be negotiated with by memory. "I'm not here for a scene," he said. I nodded and put the box in his palm. "I thought you might throw it at me." I tried to joke. He smiled with one corner of his mouth, the way you smile at a joke that isn't unkind but isn't funny either. "Suits are my color," he said. "And this isn't a movie?" I asked, because I'm a glutton for the last word. Am I wrong for wanting to feel beautiful? He shook his head. No, he said. You're wrong for insisting the entire world gets a front row seat to our bedroom and calling it feminism. There's a difference between confidence and crowdsourcing your worth. That sounds like a TED Talk, I said, because defensiveness is my chronic condition. He laughed, which made me want to cry. I'll always think you're beautiful, he said. I just won't always be claptrap for it. He left with the ring and the patience I'd mistaken for naivete. I went home and stared at the Miami carousel until it felt like the meanest thing I'd ever done. Then I deleted it, not as an offering to get him back, but because I finally understood it made me smaller, not larger. I wish I could say the lesson landed like a lightning bolt. It landed like a bank statement. Clear, boring, a reckoning with math I'd ignored. Not every man who asks for privacy is controlling. Not every boundary is an attack. It is possible to be sexy for the person you promised and not for 1,000 hearts from strangers. It is possible to be two things: confident and considerate. And I had chosen one because it came with applause. He wins if you need it narrated like a scoreboard. He didn't weaponize controlling back at me. He didn't smear me online. He didn't send my mother my thirst traps. He returned to his brothers, finished a kitchen backsplash he'd started, and sent me, 2 weeks later, an email with a list of bills he'd paid and a proposed timeline to take his name off the lease. He made boundaries look like courtesy instead of punishment. He showed me what grown-up looks like. I kept seeing Dr. Patel. I made a list of private that I posted on my fridge instead of the internet. Bedroom, arguments, family group chat screenshots, grief, tenderness, unflattering quiet. I still take photos in satin sometimes, but I send them to nobody or to my own favorites album that will never trend. I'm learning that attention is sugar and intimacy is protein. Liam started seeing someone months later. I know because I ran into him at the Saturday market and he introduced her like he'd been practicing honesty even when it cost him, and I wanted to both throw up and applaud. She was wearing a t-shirt and had paint under her fingernails like she had better things to do than perform, and I thought, he picked the life I was too loud to hear. I went home, sat on Maya's couch, and did not post about it. I called my mom instead. I wasn't the woman he proposed to. He told me. I called him controlling so I could avoid changing. I moved out and learned the difference between a boundary and a cage. And now I live with the consequence of a very boring truth. He didn't leave because I got hot. He left because I got noisy with strangers when I should have been honest with him. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. She mistook boundaries for control, moved out to prove a point, and he didn't chase. He set calm terms, took the ring back, and chose privacy over performance. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more. Thanks, and see y'all tomorrow.